You know that feeling when a supposedly boring crypto suddenly does something so wild that it flips your entire script? Yeah, well, that just happened to me with VeChain. Now, I stumbled on a clue in Sweden, of all places, and what I found on my little adventure might just change how you see this underdog coin too. So picture this. It's past midnight. I'm doom scrolling crypto news with a cup of decaf, and I see a headline about VeChain. Remember VeChain, right? Gaining a spotlight in Europe with some ETP in Sweden. Now, I actually said out loud, wait, VeChain? Like the supply chain token making waves in Sweden? What? Well, my curiosity, of course, it went from 0 to 100 real quick, because if institutions over in Europe are suddenly hyped about VeChain, there's got to be a reason behind it, right? Well, buckle up, because I dove headfirst into this rabbit hole. And trust me, by the end, even my jaw was on the floor. All right, so first things first, what the heck did I even read? Well, it turns out that a company called 𝗗𝗀𝘀𝗰𝗱, one of Europe's big deal digital asset firms, launched an exchange-traded product for VeChain. Now, an ETP is basically like an ETF's, or at least like an ETF's cousin, in a way that, at least for regular and institutional investors to buy a piece of an asset. Now, in this particular case, that's VET, through the stock market. It's regulated, it's on an exchange in Sweden, and it means that if some pension fund in Stockholm wants a slice of VeChain, well, they can easily buy it as a stock. Now, honestly, I did a double take here. VeChain's now rubbing shoulders with the likes of Bitcoin and Ethereum in these investment products. That is a huge deal. It's kind of like finding out your quiet neighbor is now on the same playlist as Beyonce. You wonder, how did that happen? Well, 𝗗𝗀𝘀 added VeChain to their lineup of crypto ETPs. They manage around $700 million in these things, offering products like BTC, ETH, and other big names. The fact that they've looked at VET and went, yeah, this one deserves a spot, sent a bit of a shiver of validation down my spine. Now, it signals real institutional confidence in VeChain as an investable asset. Now, I'm picturing suits and ties saying VeChain in boardrooms. It's kind of wild, right? Now, naturally, I wanted to know why they would be confident in VET. So it was time for a quick refresher on what VeChain actually is today. Now, I knew that it was that blockchain for enterprise uses, right? Supply chains, tracking goods, verifying products, that sort of unsexy, but actually super important stuff. Now, as I dug deeper, I rediscovered some pretty cool aspects that set VeChain well apart from the competition. So for one, it runs its own blockchain called the VeChain 𝗗𝗀, yes, that's the Norse god, and the chain does try to kind of bring the hammer down on inefficiency. Now, it's not just another token on Ethereum, is it then? It's its own beast designed for business applications. So think of things like tracking a bottle of wine from the vineyard, all the way to your table to ensure that it is legit. That's what VeChain was built for. And get this, VeChain uses a dual token system, right? I'd heard of VET, that's the one that you and I might buy and trade, for example, but there's also V4. This is VeChain's 𝗗𝗀 token. Now, V4 is like the gas or the fuel for transactions on the network. So you're thinking to yourself, why two tokens? It's actually a genius bit of economics, right? By using V4 to pay for the transaction fees, VeChain can keep those fees stable and predictable instead of, let's say, VET skyrockets and suddenly it costs $100 in VET to move your coins around. It's a bit like having one token as the kind of share in the economy or the ecosystem, and the other one as the oil that keeps the machine running smoothly. It's pretty neat, right? Then there's VeChain's consensus mechanism. They don't use energy guzzling mining like Bitcoin, or even the usual staking like many others. They use something that is called the proof of authority, POA. Now, I know that sounds technical, but here's actually how I visualize it. Imagine a VIP club where only approved members can validate the entries on the guest list. Well, these approved validators are like trusted gatekeepers then, because there's a limited number of them. These are authority nodes. Now, the network can validate transactions super fast with very little energy and without a lot of fuss. So it's not as decentralized as Bitcoin. Anyone can try to mine BTC, right? But it trades a little bit of that decentralization for speed and efficiency. Now, in my late night reading, I even saw that some 2025 academic studies gave VeChain props for this model. Apparently, low energy usage and consistent output made it a poster child for how blockchains can be eco-friendly and meet regulatory needs. There's kind of when nerds in lab coats start kind of praising a crypto that you hadn't thought about in a while. You kind of pay attention, right? Now, all of this tech talk actually started clicking for me. VeChain's built for the long game, enterprise adoption, sustainability, real-world use. It's no wonder that it has fans in high places. I found out that Crypto.com recently partnered with VeChain Foundation to offer custody services for VET and V4. Now that means that big institutions or wealthy people who use Crypto.com's custody can safely hold their VeChain assets with a trusted, regulated provider. You don't set something like that up unless there's demand, right? It's kind of like a signal flare that institutions are circling here, wanting in on the action but needing that security blanket too. And as I'm connecting these dots, I'm sitting here thinking, okay, so VeChain has enterprise tech, academic Kodos, and now institutional on-ramps. How did I miss that it was gaining this much momentum? So at this point, I had to sanity check my own excitement. I hopped into our free educational Discord. The link is in the description if you haven't joined already. Awesome community in there, by the way. And I'm like, guys, am I crazy? Or is VeChain making a comeback? Lo and behold, a couple of members were already buzzing about the same news. One of them, shout out to Mark, was practically giddy, saying that he'd been accumulating VET for months, waiting for, actually, this kind of institutional validation. Meanwhile, another member was kind of playful, kind of, I guess, chasing us. Don't you dare make me FOMO into more VET at 2 a.m., which honestly was exactly how I felt. It almost was almost kind of, I guess, too good, good to kind of get a second opinion. And our little crypto family on Discord provided just that. It was a mix of enthusiasm and caution. Now, speaking of caution, I need to level with you all, something rather important before we go any further. This might just shock you as well, because I'm not a financial advisor and nothing in this video is financial advice. Cryptocurrencies are highly volatile and you could lose all of the money that you invest. You should always do your own research and consult a qualified professional. After all, your investments are entirely your responsibility and you should know that nothing is ever guaranteed when it comes to investing. Neither I, this channel, nor YouTube are liable for any losses, and this video today is for entertainment and educational purposes only. Phew. I'm right, so I'm glad that we kind of got that out there because let's face it, I'm excited about what I found here, but I'm not telling you to go all in on anything. I'm just a guy with a caffeine-free coffee chasing crypto rabbit holes so that you don't have to, or so that you can come along with me for the ride. So, what about the numbers? Do you know? I had to kind of check the price of VET before absorbing all of this, right? So at the time of this Swedish ETP news, VET was hovering around 2.5 cents, which, fun fact, is roughly back near its kind of high from, a couple of months ago. Now that made me kind of raise a bit of an eyebrow, right? And then I saw trading volume had also shot up by about 28% in a day to nearly 48 million. Now, 28% might not sound crazy when we're talking about meme coins that kind of regularly do double overnight on the hype alone, but for a kind of relatively stable coin like VeChain, that's a notable surge. And it's kind of like the quiet kid in class suddenly kind of started speaking up, and you notice, right? Now, to me, the volume spike was, just like a bunch of whales or informed investors saying, yes, please, right after the ETP launch was announced. It's speculative to tie cause and effect, sure, but the timing had me kind of nodding along. Something's brewing here, basically. Then I remembered, or rather I dug into, VeChain's track record for seasonal performance. And here is where we are entering the last part of this year. And it turns out that Q4 has historically been VeChain's time to shine. So check this out. In Q4 2023, VeChain nearly doubled in price, up 98% by the end of the year. In Q4 of 2024, it jumped another 77%. Now, those were years where the overall market had its ups and its downs, but VeChain managed to kind of pull a bit of a Santa Claus rally 2 years in a row. But does it get, I should say, 2 years in a row, but past performance doesn't guarantee future results. So let's underline that, because it does get you thinking, doesn't it? If VeChain had any kind of consistent end-of-year strength, and now we add this year's ingredients into the mix to a successful Q3 and incoming ETP, we could be looking at a trifecta. So I caught myself daydreaming here just a little bit. Are we, going to see another big run this Q4? Right? It's the crypto optimist in me, right? Then the crypto, or at least I should say the crypto cynic in me is kind of like, chill out, man. Every year is going to be different. But this inner tug of war is real. You kind of know what I mean. So at this point, I was all in on fact finding. I wanted to know if there were any more catalysts that I'd maybe missed. And surprise, there was one more big one. Something called the 𝗗𝗶𝘀𝗰 upgrade. Now, as a kind of recovering anime nerd, I know 𝗗𝗶𝘀𝗰 often refers to a falcon or a kind of certain cool motorcycle, right? But VeChain's community voted and approved this upgrade, scheduled to go live in early September. If all goes well, the mainnet network, the mainnet, right? Or the main network, the mainnet, will integrate 𝗗𝗶𝘀𝗰 by December of 2025. So basically, VeChain is about to get a performance upgrade just in time for Q4's climax. How poetic is that? Now, the details are technical. It's reportedly a shift towards an even more scalable consensus mechanism, maybe even moving from POA to a brand new kind of blend of staking mechanism to pump up the network's efficiency. But you don't need to be an engineer to grasp the bigger picture. The blockchain is evolving, presumably to handle more business, more transactions, more everything. And I'd say that like VeChain is installing a turbocharger under the hood. Early September for testnet means by the end of the year, they plan to have this thing firing on all cylinders on the mainnet. This timing feels deliberate. It's as if they know that a lot of eyes will be on crypto towards the end of the year, maybe holiday optimism, who knows? And they want VeChain looking its best. So there I was, a couple of hours deep into this impromptu investigation, surrounded by digital sticky notes of facts and figures, and it's quiet, right? The world's asleep, and I'm having one of those kind of moments. VeChain, this project that I haven't paid all that much attention to in a little while, suddenly looks like a different beast. Enterprise adoption, check. Institutional acceptance, ETP and custody, check. Tech upgrades and sustainability, check. Historical trends that might favor a pump, check. This wasn't just one random piece of news, was it? It was a mosaic coming together. And I literally pushed back my chair, stretched my back, right? Because obviously it's killing me as it usually does. And I thought to myself, is VeChain about to go from underdog to trend setter? And it kind of felt like I had stumbled onto a secret, like I was the kid who found where the cookies are hidden. But in this case, the cookie jar is a potential crypto breakout. Now, honestly, I kind of felt a mix of excitement and FOMO, which I had to temper. Remember, those Discord voices of reason. I told myself it's cool, isn't it, right? This is fascinating, but don't go mortgaging your house for vet. I mean, I don't even have a house to mortgage right now, but you kind of get me. Instead, I made a plan. Keep researching, maybe nibble a little position as I keep learning, learning exercise, and definitely share what I find with all of you guys, which is exactly what I'm doing right now. So this is the fun part of crypto for me, right? The thrill of the hunt, the story behind the numbers. It's not just green candles and red candles. It's real world moves, big players, tech innovation, and it's all intertwining. So speaking of big players here, let me share a fun tidbit that I unearthed that absolutely floored me. UFC's CEO Dana White apparently dropped $1 million on VeChain's as a personal investment. Yeah, the guy known for mixed martial arts and tough talk is a VeChain hodler. Now, who would have thought? Now, when the boss of at least the UFC is betting on a supply chain crypto or a sustainability eco-friendly cryptocurrency like VeChain, it's safe to say that VeChain isn't just on nerds' radars anymore, is it? It's that little anecdotes like that kind of add color to the whole picture. Like, it's not just faceless institutions, it's also famous people kind of quietly accumulating, kind of validates that gut feeling that something's brewing, doesn't it? Now, I want to be clear. I'm not saying that VeChain will blast off to the moon tomorrow. I've been around long enough to know that the crypto gods love throwing a lot of curveballs. Regulations, market sentiment, random tweets, anything can knock things off course. But I want to tell you this. This whole experience reminded me why I love diving into crypto stories, because sometimes a project wrote off or forgot, about kind of comes back with a plot twist. And VeChain gave me that plot twist this week. So here's where I landed after this little journey. VeChain is no joke. It might not have the hype of a meme coin or the cult of Bitcoin, but it's steadily bridging gaps in the real world. It's bringing together enterprises. I'm talking actual companies using it for actual products. It's getting nods from academia and sustainability circles. And now it's opening its doors for big money, at least in Europe, to come in via the regulated ETP. That's a trifecta you don't see every single day in crypto. Personally, I'm kind of inspired. This whole deep dive kind of felt like rediscovering a song that I used to love. VeChain's been playing in the background and now the volume's getting cranked up. Whether or not the price goes bananas this Q4, the project's fundamentals look stronger than ever before. And that institutional spotlight from the likes of Valar's ETP, it's not, at least that's not easy to come by. It's kind of like VeChain got invited to the cool kids table at lunch. So if you're considering checking out VeChain for yourself, you can, of course, buy VeChain on various different exchanges. I even considered grabbing a little bit more for my personal stash. Blowfin and BitGet are a couple of places where I like to purchase VeChain and where VeChain is readily available. Just heads up, the links in the description for those exchanges, those are affiliate links down there. So using them, signing up and trading on there, it won't cost you anything extra, but it will support the channel here should you use them. There's no pressure, as always. Only if you're really looking for a convenient place to trade and want to help me out, keep the lights on here, then use those links. At the end of the day, I'm not here to tell you to buy or to sell. I'm here to share a story with you all. And the story of kind of me tracking down this VeChain news turned out to be way more exciting than I expected. If nothing else, I hope that it kind of got you all thinking and maybe even rekindled a little bit of interest in those solid, if quieter crypto projects that are out there. Sometimes the ones quietly building end up making the loudest moves when the time is right. So, if you've enjoyed coming along on this little adventure with me, then do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button and join the family. I've got a feeling that this won't be the last surprise crypto story that we uncover together. So stick around, because the next chapter, the next deep dive, might just blow your mind even more.